A stop loss is more valuable than diamonds. Welcome to Think Big channel. Some things only reveal their true value when they're gone. In trading, the cost of a single mistake isn't just money, it can be your entire chance to stay in the game. I once knew a man, someone I'll call a mentor, not just because he was older, but because his experience outshone mine. Between 2018 and 2020, he was a legend in financial circles. He wasn't the type to boast, never posted trades on social media, never bragged about win rates in trading groups. He traded quietly, alone. Yet, those who sat with him, who saw his analysis and execution, couldn't help but nod in respect. He started with a $50,000 account. In just 3 months, it grew to over $100,000. Luck had nothing to do with it. His analysis was meticulous, his entries precise, as if measured with a ruler. To outsiders, he seemed like a genius, and perhaps he started to believe it himself. He began to think he'd cracked the market, that mastering candlestick patterns and support resistance zones made him infallible. That's when he stopped using stop losses. At first, it was just small trades. I noticed the price dips slightly, hits my stop loss, then reverses, he told me. So, I hold on a bit longer. And he was right, the price often came back. He won, not just avoiding losses but profiting. Once, twice, 3 times. Confidence took root. He started to see stop losses as crutches for the timid, the inexperienced, the weak. One chilly evening, as we sat over coffee in a quiet cafe, his eyes gleamed with certainty. "Why bother with stop losses?" he said. "I've never needed them. I control the market." I didn't argue. I just listened. I'd been there myself. If you trade long enough, you'll have a phase where you overestimate your power, especially after a winning streak. But have you ever wondered, can a victory without boundaries, without defenses, last? Are we winning because we're skilled, or because the market hasn't yet turned against us? I once read a saying, the market is where pride is tested, and the arrogant are soon humbled. In trading, a stop loss isn't just a tool to limit losses. It's an inner defense system, a reminder that you can be wrong and must prepare for it. But when ego outgrows skill, when consecutive wins make you feel invincible, complacency creeps in. It's not a lightning strike, it's a slow drizzle, eroding everything. A few weeks later, the market turned volatile. Gold surged from $3,180 to $3,250 in mere hours. He stuck to his no stop-loss habit, entering a sell trade expecting a pullback. But the price didn't pull back, it kept climbing. His profitable account bled by the hour. When he finally cut the trade, more than half his account was gone. The pride in his eyes was replaced by a quiet pain, a loss too deep for words. So, what about you? Are you trading with a clear strategy, with a stop loss to protect you when you're wrong? Or are you walking a tightrope, convinced you're too skilled to fall? Ask yourself, if you're wrong, what will shield you from a free fall? Perhaps it's that small stop loss, unassuming but enough to preserve hope. If you see yourself in this story, don't be too hard on yourself. We've all started with blind faith. The key is recognizing it before it's too late. That fateful slip happened on a Wednesday night, just as the US market opened. I remember it vividly, I was glued to my screen too. Gold was hovering around $3,180. Then, US economic data dropped, inflation far higher than expected. The market shuddered. Gold didn't just drop, it plummeted, like a stone into an abyss. A massive red candle appeared, followed by another, and another. In under 10 minutes, gold crashed from $3,180 to $3,110. He was holding a buy trade, no stop loss. I messaged him, asking if he was watching. No reply. The next morning, he told me, I saw the price drop, but I froze. My hands wouldn't move, my heart was racing, my mind blank. That was his fatal fall. His account, once over $100,000, lost more than half in one night. But what haunted me wasn't the loss, it was his reaction. The next morning, instead of stepping back to reassess, he dove back in with one goal: to recover. Gone was the technical analysis, the strategy. All that remained was emotion. That was the moment he entered the revenge trading spiral. Have you ever been there? You place a trade, it loses, and you jump into another to reclaim what you lost. You think, if I increase my size, one reversal will get me back. But the market isn't a place for redemption. It doesn't care about your losses or your pain. It moves by its own rules, cold and indifferent. The more you chase, the deeper you slide. He started trading bigger, with higher leverage, larger volumes, but his mind was no longer sharp. One loss followed another. Stress mounted, sleep vanished, irritability set in. I saw in him every sign of a trader consumed by the market. He was no longer the disciplined analyst, patiently waiting for opportunities. Each trade became a desperate roll of the dice. A month later, his account hit zero. The numbers on the screen weren't just figures, they marked the end of a journey. We sat across from each other, his coffee cold, untouched. Silence hung heavy, broken only by the hum of a fan. Then, he spoke softly, "If only I'd set a stop-loss that day." In trading, the words, "if only," always arrive too late. They can't change the past, only leave you with regret. How many trades have you looked back on, wishing you'd cut your losses sooner? How many times have you sat before your screen, hoping the price would turn, only to watch your account sink into despair? Are you setting boundaries for yourself, or are you leaving your fate to chance? Ask yourself, if the market crashes tonight, like it did that fateful night, will you have a plan, or will you just hope for luck? If this story resonates with you, don't forget to like and share its lessons. If you know someone who needs to hear this, pass it on so they don't lose their way. Thank you for listening. There's a truth few new traders want to hear: a stop-loss isn't failure. I get it, I really do. Admitting a loss stings. Clicking that button to close a trade feels like confessing you were wrong, like giving up before the fight's over, like retreating without a battle. It clashes with our human instincts, to be right, to win, to save face, even with ourselves. Have you ever felt that? You place a trade, set a stop-loss, and as the price nears it, you nudge the stop further, hoping for a reversal. I've done it. I've seen countless others do it too. But the market doesn't care about your hopes. When you refuse to cut a loss, you're not just risking a small defeat, you're opening the door to a much larger one. The mentor I told you about, after losing his entire account, didn't jump back in right away. He took weeks off, just to sleep, to clear his mind. Months later, he started again, from scratch. No rush, no overconfidence, no illusions. He traded smaller, with clear stop-losses every time. Once, I asked him, "How does it feel to get stopped out repeatedly?" He smiled. "At first, it's frustrating, like I'm always losing. But when I reviewed my trade journal, those stop-losses saved me. Without them, I'd have lost thousands more." Stop-losses no longer made him feel inadequate. They made him feel sharper. He said something I'll never forget: "Stop-losses keep me sane." In trading, sanity is your most valuable asset. Many traders obsess over monthly or quarterly profits. But profits don't come from luck, they come from discipline. A stop-loss is discipline in its purest form. It's you accepting you were wrong to protect something far more important: your capital and your clarity. It's you stopping the shovel before the hole gets too deep. So, when you place a trade, do you dare to set a stop-loss? And if you do you honor it as fiercely as you honor your survival in this market? Are you walking the tightrope with a safety net? I once heard a brilliant analogy: trading is like walking a tightrope between two skyscrapers. Imagine it, wind howling, air thin, each step a heartbeat. Below you is a void, deep, cold, and unforgiving. In that moment, a safety net beneath you makes all the difference. It doesn't guarantee confidence, but it ensures that if you slip, you'll live to try again. Without it, one misstep sends you plummeting. In trading, a stop-loss is that safety net. It's not your enemy, it's your silent protector in the darkest moments. It's the tool no one loves until they need it most. I once met a young trader, barely 3 months in. His eyes sparkled with enthusiasm, his voice brimming with confidence. Every trade was a bold bet. I asked, "Do you use stop-losses?" He laughed. "Nah, I trust my analysis. If I'm right, why would the price go against me?" I didn't laugh back. I just shared the story of my mentor, who once thought the same. Belief is powerful, but belief without limits, without a plan, is like a paper umbrella in a storm. Here's a hard truth: the market doesn't care what you believe. It doesn't know how much you studied, how many courses you took, how many books you read, or how many sleepless nights you spent. It moves by its own rules. You, a small player against a colossal wave, survive only if you know how much you can lose. A stop-loss is that boundary. It's the line that tells you when to pause, when to step back. Imagine tomorrow brings a sudden crash, a geopolitical shock, terrible economic data, or a central bank surprise move. Would you survive without a stop-loss? Would you still be here, learning and trying, or would you be the one quietly leaving the market, carrying a lesson too costly to bear? In this volatile world, one thing is certain: if you don't use stop-losses, the market will eventually make you pay, not with one bad trade, but with your account, your confidence, your spirit. Those are losses you can't easily reclaim. So, you're walking that tightrope in the sky. Do you have your safety net? If I had to choose one question to end this story, I wouldn't ask if you're winning or losing. I'd ask, gently but deeply, have you set your stop-loss? Not just for a single trade, but in a broader, deeper sense. Have you learned to pause before it's too late? In a market that never stops moving, where one moment of carelessness can wipe you out, trading without a stop-loss is like walking that tightrope without a net. It won't make you fall right away. But one day, you will fall, and nothing will catch you. My mentor soared high, too high. He forgot the winds could shift, that the market owes no one anything. One night, one US session, no stop-loss, no timely exit, and months of hard work vanished like they never existed. Worse than losing money was knowing he saw it coming and did nothing. That's the deepest torment in trading, and it lingers if you don't change. So, I ask again, have you set your stop-loss? Do you have a plan to shield yourself from overconfidence? Have you learned to step back instead of holding on for pride? Have you realized that in this game, survival is the first victory? Many enter the market with big dreams, of wealth, of freedom. That's not wrong. But dreams only take flight if you protect your foundation, your capital. Lose your capital, your clarity, your discipline, and everything else follows. A stop-loss isn't just a price point, it's a philosophy of survival. I don't say this from textbooks. I say it from my own sleepless nights, from the cold coffee in front of my mentor, a man who was once brilliant, once proud, and had to start from zero. Don't wait to learn this lesson over a cold cup of coffee. Thank you, truly, for taking the time to hear this story. In a world where everyone's rushing, you chose to pause and reflect. That's what I value most, because those who listen, understand, and reflect on themselves have the best shot at going far in this market. If this story made you pause, rethink, and start setting stop-losses today, then it served its purpose. Keep your foundation strong. Keep your safety net ready. Keep your boundaries clear. The market can do anything, anytime, but you can only survive if you know when to let go. Remember this question with every trade: have you set your stop-loss? If you want to continue this journey with me, exploring the hidden corners of trading psychology and the costly lessons no book can teach, stay tuned for the next stories. They're not for entertainment, they're raw slices of reality to keep you sharper, stronger, and in the game longer. Thank you again for listening.